What if the scorching July sun could become your garden's greatest ally, turning harsh heat into a thriving harvest of delicious vegetables? What if you could fill your balcony, patio, or balcony garden with plants that love the blazing summer temperatures instead of fearing them? Here are 15 container vegetables that prove this is possible. Number 15. Cucumber. The humble cucumber, native to the arid regions of Mexico and Central America, is a drought-tolerant vining plant that flourishes when the sun beats down. Unlike standard varieties that wilt under intense UV radiation, this cucumber boasts tiny, micro-sized leaves that dramatically cut water loss through transpiration. Its foliage is so reduced that the plant conserves moisture while its roots develop a thick, radish-like tuber deep in the pot, acting as a hidden reservoir of water and energy. Planted in a deep 5 to 10 gallon container with a lightweight vertical trellis, using a well-draining mix heavily amended with perlite and a handful of aged compost to improve water-holding capacity. Research from the University of California Cooperative Extension shows this cucumber thrives in hot, high-stress conditions, producing a relentless, crunchy harvest from mid-July right through the first autumn frost. No pruning is needed, pests are largely ignored, and the fruit remains crisp and lime-bright throughout the season. This ancient heirloom was a staple of the Aztec diet long before European contact, and recent archaeological studies suggest it was also cultivated by pre-colonial peoples in the Sonoran Desert for its high water content. For container growers, adding a slow-release fertilizer with a higher potassium ratio, for example, 5-10-10, supports fruit set without encouraging excessive foliage. Mulching the surface with a thin layer of shredded coconut coir further reduces soil temperature and maintains a micro-moisture film, extending the harvest period by several weeks. Number 14. Armenian Cucumber. If you think all cucumbers wilt in July, the Armenian cucumber will change your mind. Though called a cucumber, it is actually a heavily ribbed melon, genetically equipped with a thick, reflective, waxy cuticle on its leaves. This natural heat shield locks in moisture and bounces harsh UV rays away, preventing the bitter compounds that plague regular cucumbers. Grow it in a substantial 10-gallon plastic pot with a sturdy trellis to support its pale green fruits that can stretch up to 3 feet. Keep the soil consistently moist. A fine mist will not dilute its sweet flavor thanks to its melon heritage. Texas A&M AgriLife Extension confirms that Armenian cucumbers maintain crisp, sweet flesh even when daytime temperatures soar above 95 degrees Fahrenheit thanks to a unique combination of osmoprotectants such as proline and trehalose that stabilize cell membranes. Because it cannot cross-pollinate with true cucumbers, you can plant them side by side without fear of unwanted hybrids, making them perfect companions for mixed container gardens. When grown in containers, adding a thin layer of vermiculite at the bottom improves drainage while retaining enough moisture for the deep-rooted vines. The fruit's subtle melon-like aroma makes it a favorite for pickling. A traditional Persian recipe calls for a brine of apple cider vinegar, dill, and a pinch of saffron, resulting in a summer condiment that preserves the vegetable's bright flavor for months. Number 13. Loofah Gourd. Most people recognize loofah only as a dried bath sponge, but when harvested young, it is a tender, zucchini-like summer vegetable prized in Asian cuisine. Its secret to rapid July growth lies in an exceptionally wide vascular system. The plant's xylem vessels transport massive volumes of water from the soil to the vine tips in seconds. As the heat intensifies, loofah transpires quickly, creating a cooling microclimate that protects its expansive leaf canopy. A hefty 15-gallon pot anchored to the tallest trellis you can build will support its potential 20 to 30-foot climb. Frequent top dressings of organic compost are essential as the plant's roots hunger for nutrients during the heat. North Carolina State University reports that loofah requires long daylight hours and blistering heat to trigger its prolific flowering phase, turning a sun-baked patio into a lush, green oasis. During World War II, its dried fibers were used by the U.S. Navy as organic water and oil filters for steam-powered warships, a testament to its high cellulose content. For container cultivation, prune side shoots once they reach 12 inches to direct energy toward the main vine and the fruiting bodies. Harvest the gourds at 8 to 10 inches in length for the best texture. Larger specimens become fibrous and are better suited for sponge production. Adding a liquid kelp fertilizer every 2 weeks supplies micronutrients that boost chlorophyll synthesis, helping the plant maintain its glossy foliage even under midday sun. Number 12. Chickpeas, garbanzo beans. Chickpeas, or garbanzo beans, are a desert-adapted legume that thrives in July's dry heat. Their leaves are covered with microscopic glandular hairs that exude a sticky mixture of malic and oxalic acids. This acidic coating deters insects and traps a thin layer of humidity against the leaf surface, dramatically slowing water loss. A 5 to 7 gallon fabric grow bag is perfect for these compact architectural bushes, which need no trellising and tolerate windy balconies. The Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, lists chickpeas among the most drought-resistant legumes, requiring the long daylight and dry heat of midsummer to fill their protein-rich pods. The plant forms a symbiotic relationship with rhizobium bacteria that fix atmospheric nitrogen, reducing the need for external fertilization. When grown in containers, a balanced NPK fertilizer, 10-10-10, applied at planting and again after the first pod set, maximizes yield. The liquid left over from cooking dried chickpeas, known as aquafaba, whips up like egg whites and has become a legendary vegan baking substitute, prized for its ability to create stable foams in meringues, macarons, and even vegan mayonnaise. Historical records show that chickpeas were a staple in the diets of nomadic Bedouin tribes, who prized the legume for its long shelf life and high caloric density. Modern growers can increase pod size by applying a foliar spray of calcium nitrate during pod development, which reinforces cell walls and reduces cracking under heat stress. Number 11. Mexican Yam Bean, Jicama. The Mexican yam bean, also called jicama, is a tropical vining legume that stores massive amounts of water and energy in its underground tubers. While the plant can be started in spring, it only truly expands when exposed to July's longest, hottest days. During scorching midsummer, the plant redirects nearly all metabolic energy into its tuber, which acts as a starchy water reservoir. A deep 15-inch fabric grow bag paired with a tall vertical trellis gives the vines room to climb while the tuber expands below. Avoid pinching off flowers in July. This forces the plant to pour energy into the tuber instead of fruit. USDA data confirms that jicama tubers are rich in inulin, a prebiotic fiber that feeds beneficial gut bacteria and stabilizes blood sugar. The tuber's crisp, mildly sweet flesh can be sliced raw into salads or cooked in stir-fries, where it retains its crunch even after extended sautéing. Beware, every other part of the plant, including vines, leaves, flowers, and pods, contains the toxic compound rotenone, a natural pesticide. Because of this, growers should wear gloves when handling foliage and keep pets away from the garden. For container gardeners, incorporating a layer of coarse sand at the bottom of the bag improves drainage, preventing the tuber from rotting in overly wet conditions. Adding a small amount of mycorrhizal inoculant at planting enhances root absorption of phosphorus, which is critical for tuber development. Historical accounts from 16th century Spanish explorers describe jicama as the apple of the New World, noting its refreshing taste during the sweltering tropical evenings. Number 10. Turmeric, a tropical rhizome native to Southeast Asia's monsoon regions, often fails when planted too early in cool, damp soil. It demands the scorching heat of July to explode in growth. Its broad-veined leaves act as solar panels, capturing intense UV radiation to power underground rhizome development. A wide, shallow grow bag, 15 to 20 inches across, allows the rhizomes to spread horizontally just below the soil surface. Keep the soil rich in organic compost and consistently damp. A light mulching of straw or shredded bark helps retain moisture while preventing the soil from overheating. University of Hawaii research shows that turmeric's highest concentrations of curcumin, the anti-inflammatory compound prized for health benefits, are produced under long, bright, hot summer days. The vivid yellow pigment of turmeric has been used for centuries to dye the saffron-orange robes of Buddhist monks across Southeast Asia, and it also serves as a natural food colorant in confectionery. For container growers, adding a modest dose of iron chelate every 6 weeks prevents chlorosis, a common problem in sunny balconies where iron can become less available. Harvest the rhizomes after 8 to 10 months, when the foliage begins to yellow and die back. This timing ensures maximum curcumin content. Freshly harvested turmeric can be boiled, sliced, and pickled with mustard seeds and vinegar, creating a tangy condiment that preserves the spice's bright flavor well into winter. Number 9. Bush lima beans. Bush lima beans, a staple of the American South, actually prefer the hot, muggy nights of July for pollination. Traditional green beans often drop blossoms when nighttime temperatures sterilize pollen, but lima beans possess heat-activated pollen that thrives in those conditions. Their compact bush varieties develop deep taproots that dive to the bottom of a container, accessing moisture unavailable to shallow-rooted plants. A deep 5-gallon fabric grow bag provides the necessary space. Penn State Extension recommends lima beans for midsummer planting because their thick, waxy leaves resist wilting, guaranteeing a buttery harvest when other crops fail. When attacked by caterpillars, lima beans release airborne chemicals that attract parasitic wasps, which hunt down the pests, a fascinating natural defense. For container cultivation, sow seeds 1 inch deep and space them 4 inches apart. Thin to the strongest 3 plants per bag once seedlings emerge. A light application of bone meal at planting supplies phosphorus, encouraging robust root development. The beans themselves are high in protein, fiber, and essential minerals such as iron and zinc, making them an excellent addition to summer stews and succotash. Historical records from the 1800s show that Southern farmers used lima beans as a cash crop to barter for other staples, highlighting their economic resilience even under harsh conditions. Number 8. Edamame, soybeans. Edamame, the young green pods of soybeans, turn July's heat into a rapid growth engine. Their root nodules host rhizobium bacteria that pull nitrogen directly from the air and convert it into usable fertilizer, allowing the plant to flourish even when intense watering flushes nutrients from the potting mix. A wide 10-gallon container can hold several tightly packed plants, creating a lush, bushy display. The University of Illinois Extension notes that edamame matures quickly under peak summer heat, delivering tender, protein-packed pods in record time. As a complete protein, edamame contains all 9 essential amino acids, making it a nutritional powerhouse for vegans and omnivores alike. To maximize yield, use a high-phosphate starter fertilizer, for example, 5-20-10, at planting and supplement with a liquid seaweed extract every 2 weeks to boost stress tolerance. The pods should be harvested when the seeds fill the pod, but before they harden, typically 55 to 65 days after sowing. Edamame's bright green color is enhanced by a brief dip in ice water after picking, which also preserves the crisp texture. In Japanese cuisine, the pods are traditionally blanched, salted, and served warm, while in the United States, they are often steamed and tossed with garlic and sesame oil. The plant's vigorous growth habit also makes it an excellent companion for shade-loving herbs like cilantro and basil, which benefit from the nitrogen-rich microenvironment created by the legumes. Number 7. Bush beans. Standard pole beans often suffer blossom drop in July, but compact bush beans can be planted mid-summer for a prolific autumn harvest. The hot, pre-warmed soil accelerates germination, with seedlings breaking through the surface in just 3 to 4 days. Coat the seeds in a commercial bacterial inoculant before planting to supercharge root development, allowing the plants to push out a flush of pods before heat stress sets in. A 5-gallon pot comfortably holds 3 to 4 robust bushes. Cornell University studies show that using July's baked soil speeds the vegetative phase, delivering a concentrated harvest in under 50 days. Bush beans also play a key role in the 3 sisters planting method, fixing nitrogen in the soil for neighboring crops such as corn and squash. For container growers, a light mulch of dried grass clippings reduces soil temperature fluctuations and supplies a slow release of nitrogen. Harvest beans every 7 to 10 days to keep the plant producing. Each picking stimulates the plant to set new pods. The beans are rich in soluble fiber, which helps regulate blood glucose levels, and they contain antioxidants such as quercetin, which have been linked to reduced inflammation. Historical accounts from early American settlers describe bush beans as the salvation of the summer garden, because they could be sown after frost and still produce a usable crop before the first frost of autumn. Number 6. Tomatillos. Tomatillos require July's intense heat to trigger their rapid vining stage. Their papery outer husk, called the calyx, acts as a natural shade sail, creating a humid microclimate that protects the developing green fruit from sun scald. Plant them in large, heavy 10-gallon pots and ensure you grow at least 2 plants together, as tomatillos are self-incompatible. A single plant will produce flowers, but no fruit without a partner. University of Illinois. Extension research confirms that, when paired, tomatillos become prolific producers in hot summer containers. Archaeological evidence shows tomatillos were cultivated by the Aztecs and Mayans long before the tomato became widespread, and ancient codices depict them as a key ingredient in sauces that accompanied meat and maize dishes. For container success, use a well-draining mix of peat, perlite, and a handful of pine bark to mimic the loose volcanic soils of their native highlands. Water deeply once a week, allowing the top inch of soil to dry between irrigations. Overwatering can cause root rot in the warm pot environment. The fruit's tart, citrus-like flavor pairs beautifully with grilled corn, chicken, or fish, and it is the essential component of classic Mexican salsa verde. Adding a light application of calcium nitrate at fruit set reduces blossom end rot, a common problem when calcium uptake is limited by rapid soil drying. Number 5. New Zealand spinach. When traditional leafy greens bolt under July's dog days, New Zealand spinach steps in as a heat-proof alternative. Its triangular succulent leaves are covered with tiny epidermal water bladders that reflect sunlight like millions of tiny mirrors, keeping the leaf interior cool and hydrated. An 8-inch deep pot or hanging basket works best, allowing the plant to sprawl beautifully over edges. Cornell University data confirms that New Zealand spinach remains productive in extreme summer temperatures, providing a continuous supply of crisp greens. Captain James Cook foraged this plant in New Zealand during the 1700s, using its high vitamin C content to combat scurvy among his crew. Modern growers appreciate its tolerance to saline irrigation, making it ideal for coastal balconies where sea spray can be an issue. To maximize leaf size, fertilize with a balanced 20-20-20 water-soluble fertilizer every 3 weeks, and prune back any flowering stems as soon as they appear, since the plant's energy shifts dramatically toward seed production once it bolts. New Zealand spinach can be eaten raw in salads, sautéed with garlic, or blended into smoothies for a nutrient boost. It contains up to 30% more calcium than regular spinach and is a good source of iron and vitamin A. For container gardeners, a light trellis or netting encourages vertical growth, allowing the vines to climb while still providing easy harvest from the hanging baskets. Number 4. Pole beans, heat-tolerant varieties. Heat-tolerant pole beans, especially heirloom or Asian yard-long varieties, use vertical growth to escape the baking ground heat. By climbing a tall, sturdy trellis, the vines capture cooler breezes several feet above the patio surface, keeping foliage ventilated and reducing fungal diseases like powdery mildew. A heavy 10-gallon pot anchors the trellis, while the beans draw on July's abundant sunlight to fuel rapid upward expansion. The University of California reports that these beans create a living green wall that not only yields abundant pods, but also casts a cooling shade over neighboring plants. For container cultivation, select varieties such as yard-long or Phaseolus vulgaris Cajun that have been bred specifically for heat tolerance and disease resistance. Plant seeds 1 inch deep, spacing them 2 to 3 inches apart along a trellis support, and water at the base of the stems to keep the foliage dry. A weekly foliar spray of neem oil can suppress aphids and whiteflies without harming beneficial insects. Harvest beans when they reach 5 to 7 inches in length. This encourages the plant to continue producing new pods. The elongated beans are prized in Asian cuisines for their crisp texture and subtle sweetness, and they can be fermented into pickles or stir-fried with garlic and ginger for a quick side dish. Historical records from the Ming Dynasty describe pole beans as the climbing treasure of the garden, noting their ability to produce a second harvest when the first crop was lost to summer heat. Number 3. Summer squash, zucchini and crookneck. Planting compact bush varieties of summer squash in the middle of July skips the vulnerable early season stage entirely. The scorching potting soil acts as a metabolic ignition switch, prompting the roots to expand instantly and the plant to enter an accelerated vegetative phase. A substantial 10 to 15 gallon container provides enough water to support the plant's giant leaves. Purdue University Extension notes that midsummer planted squash outpaces the life cycle of the squash vine borer, effectively avoiding pest damage. If the plant produces abundant yellow flowers but no fruit, the blossoms can be harvested and stuffed with ricotta for a gourmet treat. For container growers, choose bush varieties such as Gold Rush, zucchini, or patio crookneck squash, which remain compact yet prolific. Plant seeds 1 inch deep, spacing them 2 to 3 inches apart, and thin to the strongest seedlings after they emerge. A mulch of black plastic sheeting helps retain soil moisture while increasing soil temperature, further accelerating growth. Water consistently, aiming for a steady supply of 1 to 2 inches per week. Uneven watering can cause blossom drop. Summer squash is rich in vitamin C, potassium, and the antioxidant lutein, which supports eye health. In many Mediterranean cuisines, the tender fruits are grilled with olive oil and herbs, while in the United States, they are a staple of backyard barbecues, often served sliced and fried. Adding a light side dressing of compost tea once a month supplies micronutrients that sustain vigor throughout the hot spell. Number 2. Bush cucumbers. Bush cucumbers are bred to stay compact, creating a short, efficient vascular system that delivers water from roots to leaves almost instantly, preventing the severe wilting seen in vining varieties during 100 degrees Fahrenheit afternoons. Grow them in a deep, 5 to 10 gallon container to let roots reach the cool, moist soil core. Frequent harvesting encourages continual fruit production. The University of Georgia Extension confirms that compact bush cucumbers have a significantly higher survival and fruiting rate during peak heat waves compared to sprawling vines. Their flesh, composed of 95% water, can even help lower body temperature when eaten. Hence the phrase, "cool as a cucumber." For container success, use a potting mix enriched with coconut coir to improve water retention while maintaining aeration. A light weekly feeding of a high-potassium fertilizer, for example 5-10-20, supports fruit development without encouraging excessive leaf growth. Choose disease-resistant cultivars such as patio snacker or bush champion, which are tolerant of both heat and common cucumber viruses. Plant seeds 1/2 inch deep and thin to 1 plant per pot. The bush habit ensures that each plant has sufficient space to develop a healthy root ball. Harvest cucumbers when they are 5 to 7 inches long. Larger fruits become bitter and seedy. In culinary applications, these cucumbers excel in cold salads, pickles, and infused waters, providing a refreshing crunch that counteracts the summer heat. Number 1. Bush tomatoes, heat-tolerant determinate varieties. Traditional indeterminate tomatoes often drop flowers in July because nighttime temperatures stay above 75 degrees Fahrenheit, rendering pollen non-viable. Heat-tolerant determinate bush varieties such as Solar Fire, Florida 91, or the newer Heat Wave possess pollen that remains stable even in scorching nights. Plant them in a 10 to 15 gallon container. No tall cages are needed because the plants are compact and fruit heavily. The University of Florida, IFAS, officially recognizes these bush tomatoes as the most reliable way to secure a bountiful harvest during the hottest part of summer. Despite being botanically fruits, the 1893 Supreme Court case Nix versus Hedon legally defined the tomato as a vegetable for tax purposes. For container growers, use a high-phosphate, low-nitrogen fertilizer, for example 8-24-16, to promote fruit set over foliage. Incorporate a drip irrigation system that delivers water directly to the root zone in the early morning, reducing leaf wetness and the risk of fungal diseases such as early blight. Prune any suckers that emerge from the leaf axils to keep the plant's energy focused on fruit production. The fruits of determinate varieties ripen uniformly over a 4-week window, providing a steady supply of juicy, lycopene-rich tomatoes for sauces, salads, and fresh eating. Historical anecdotes recount how Florida growers in the 1950s relied on solar fire to keep tomato markets supplied during record-breaking heat waves, demonstrating the cultivar's commercial resilience. Beyond the list, there is one crucial technique to protect all your July container plants from the most common cause of death: overheating roots inside thin plastic pots. When the sun heats the side of a dark nursery pot, soil temperatures can spike above 120 degrees Fahrenheit, effectively boiling the roots. To prevent this, employ the double potting insulation method. Place your thin plastic pot inside a larger, heavier decorative container, such as a terracotta, glazed ceramic, or sturdy plastic bucket, leaving a 1-inch gap of air between them. Air is a poor conductor of heat, so this air gap acts as a thermal barrier, lowering internal soil temperature by up to 15 degrees Fahrenheit and safeguarding the root zone from scorching. Adding a reflective mylar sheet around the outer pot can further deflect solar radiation, especially on rooftops or balconies that receive direct afternoon sun. By choosing crops that are genetically wired to love the July heat and by protecting their roots with simple insulation, you can transform a blistering summer patio into a productive, rewarding garden. Start with any of these resilient July warriors this weekend and watch how quickly they claim the sun. If you found this guide helpful, please like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Let us know which heat-loving plant you'll be putting in a pot this weekend, and click the next video for tips on keeping your containers perfectly watered while you're away on summer vacation.